Or it's a company. Okay. There's someone. Never mind. Don't mind me. Okay. Can you go up there with yourself? Or it's a company. Okay. There's someone. Never mind. Don't mind me. Can you go up there with yourself? Or it's a company. Okay. There's someone. Never mind. Don't mind me.
Good morning. Welcome to First Parish Needham, a Unitarian Universalist congregation for humanists, theists, atheists, agnostics, and interfaith families. We're a proud LGBTQ welcoming congregation, climate justice seeking green sanctuary, level 2 sanctuary supporting congregations for immigration justice, an eighth principle congregation striving to dismantle racism and other oppressions and build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community. Whoever you are, whatever your background, and wherever you're participating from, you're welcome here. I am Ann Barrett, and I have been a member for probably 18 years. We raised our daughter in this church. Liz had a wonderful youth program and continued that when she was in college at UVM, actually. And the church has been a wonderful community. I have been on parish committee. I was in the choir long ago, and I have been participating in certain women's discussion groups. And currently, I am part of the caring crew, which is under the Pastoral Care Committee, and I am taking this on with Gail Hedges here. And we both wanted to tell you a little bit about that this morning, and also to ask for your support. The caring crew is a group of people, and we're looking for volunteers now, that will help out when a parishioner experiences an acute hardship. And as you know, we've had about 6 deaths of congregants within as many weeks. And the families have had a very hard time and are suffering. And we would like to be able to help them out, primarily by offering meals if they need that. If we have a group of people, we can take turns of providing dinners, and that's usually very appreciated. Other things that we do are provide rides, for example, to doctor's appointment, if that's needed, or we can pick up prescriptions. So like non-reoccurring errands and help. And, you know, we inherited a list from Lynn Franceschi, who really did a lot of service in this area years ago, and that list is many years old and is largely defunct. People have moved on, have different email messages, maybe are no longer participating, or just are not able to. So Gail and I this morning are here to ask for your help. We would like to construct another list of people who are volunteering to offer, you know, short-term help, you know, for acute situations that people have. And so Gail is going to be telling you one of her own stories about when she was a child, how her church community really got together in her neighborhood and helped her family when it was necessary. So we're working to, you know, build, you know, another community like that of people who are willing to volunteer for a short time, kind of acute services when it's necessary. So that's my pitch, and then when I finish my last paragraph here, Gail will come up and tell you her story. So although our buildings now remain under certain restrictions due to the pandemic, our faith community welcomes everyone. Our congregation is offering worship and programming in hybrid and multi-platform format with in-person and hybrid and online gatherings. You can learn all about what's happening at First Parish by going to the website, uuneedham.org, or by following us on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, or all Zoom links and most up-to-date information. So please sign up for a weekly email if you haven't done that, for the newsletter, also by going to our website and clicking Get Involved Newsletter, or sending your request to office@uuneedham.org. So once again, welcome again to everybody here in the building and online, and good morning. And now I will, Gail, come up.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Gail Hedges. I grew up in Westwood, as some of you may or may not know. My family attended First Parish in Westwood, which is a united church of Congregationalists and Unitarians and other freethinkers. When I was 13, in an 8th grade, one of my younger sisters came down with chicken pox over February vacation. I had never had chicken pox. Both of my sisters had sort of regular childhood experiences with this disease. And now it's a disease that most American kids don't even contract. They are inoculated. I had never had chicken pox, and my case was very severe. My sisters recovered, but someone in the family developed a cold, which I caught, and I developed pneumonia and eventually pleurisy. I was in and out of children's hospitals several times and ultimately had lung surgery on my right lung. And I never went back to school that year. The people of Westwood's First Parish, including a younger Bob and Bobby Jorgensen, pitched in. They cooked for my family. They took my sisters to their homes to play with their kids. They brought them to brownie meetings, anything to allow my parents to get me to the doctor, to Children's Hospital, and when I was admitted a couple of times, to see me during the very restricted visiting hours that were enforced then. This is the kind of help the caring crew that Ian described to you provides, but on a much more limited basis and a much more focused basis. As part of the pastoral care team, we try to make arrangements for meals, rides to doctor's appointments, pick up prescriptions at local pharmacies. We are beginning to update and expand that list. Would you be able to help once or twice a year? Could you prepare and deliver a simple meal, drive someone to or from a health appointment? Ann and I will be available after the service. Please talk to us and hopefully sign up to help. Thank you. And
thank you, Ann and Gail. As we light our chalices, symbol of our shared faith, we share words from Black UU minister and denominational leader, Reverend Viola Abbott. As we light the chalice and fully embrace the sacred space created here this morning, please hold in your hearts the Unitarian Universalist principle which calls upon us to respect the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. Today we remember those who share this earth with us no longer. We bear witness to their lives and the roles they played in ours. We pay homage to and make stronger that web that connects us all. Our opening hymn, We Are, was written and composed by Black Unitarian Universalist singer-songwriter and educator Dr. Yesé Barnwell. She was a member of the African American women's a cappella ensemble Sweet Honey and the Rock for 3 decades. Please rise in body or in spirit and join in singing We Are. The lyrics are in your orders of service and at number 1051 in your teal hymnals.
Please join us in saying our covenant. In the Unitarian Universalist tradition, the covenant is a set of promises the membership of a congregation strives to honor with one another and out in the world. Though we cannot all gather together in person during this time, we strive to live these promises every day. Please say, along with me, the words of our parish covenant in your emailed and print orders of service. We gather as a loving community to encourage and comfort one another We gather as a diverse community to support each other in our search for spiritual truth. We gather as a service community to live our beliefs through action and care for our world.
Good morning. We think of Halloween as a time for dressing up, scaring our friends and neighbors, and of course, trick-or-treating. Anyone wearing a costume, please rise in body or spirit and give us a wave. In the building or on Zoom. Oh, beautiful, love a witch's hat. For Christians, Halloween also begins the 3-day observance of All Hallowtide, the time in the year dedicated to remembering the dead, and particularly the saints and martyrs. Hallowmas, meaning literally a mass service for those who are hallowed or holy, is also called All Saints' Day and is celebrated on November 1st. That means All Hallows' Eve, or as we call it, Halloween, was the night of candlelit vigil and preparation for the big feast. And November 2nd is the celebration of All Souls.
The way we celebrate Halloween today comes from a blend of this Christian calendar with the ancient earth-centered harvest festivals from the British Isles, particularly a Gaelic pagan celebration known as Samhain. There are many who believe this time of year brings a thinning of the veil between living and dead, making it possible to communicate with those who have died. Many Latin American cultures visit cemeteries bringing food and messages for the dead. The Double Nine Festival in China, celebrating the 9th day of the 9th month of the Chinese calendar, often involves families visiting the graves of their ancestors to pay their respects by repainting inscriptions, leaving food for their dead loved ones, and burning incense. In South Korea, Chuseok, which translates to autumn evening, is a 3-day-long harvest festival that also includes traditions of tidying graves and honoring ancestors through at-home rituals and bringing the favorite foods of those who have passed to where they were buried as an offering. This is a time of year when many people around the world, including right here at First Parish, take time to remember and honor those who've died recently.
Here at First Parish, we remember our loved ones who have passed by bringing their images or small tokens of their memory to our sanctuary altar at the bottom of the chancel steps, or to the table at the front of the worship cafe. Folks participating online were invited to submit photographs for our sanctuary altar. If you've not already done so, we'll invite you in a moment to please bring your remembrances forward. If you don't have a photograph or object with you today, but do have a loved one you wish to remember, please take a stone from the bowl on our altars and place it next to our chalices. The staff team also has photographs of the 7 first parishioners who have died in the last 2 months, honoring that we have begun this congregational year carrying much grief in our hearts. We miss and mourn Kevin Grealish, Jeanette Anderson, Nancy Bryant, Jeff Austrian, Kay Taylor, Jim Sargent, and Debbie Heller. As Reverend Katie places these photographs on our altar, and Laura sings us a hymn well loved by Jeanette and Jem, who offered it at their Methodist Camp Song summer services. Please come forward now with your photos and mementos.
As I went down to the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown As I went down to the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, friends, let's go down, let's go down, come on down. Oh, friends, let's go down, down to the river to pray.
We now also recognize the ongoing tragedy of the COVID-19 pandemic. Since January of 2020, we have lost nearly 6.5 million people worldwide to the COVID-19 virus, including over 1 million fellow Americans. Reverend Katie will now light a candle specifically to remember all those who have died due to this pandemic, with special recognition that the most marginalized and underserved communities have been most impacted by this global crisis.
We also wish to acknowledge during this ritual a special gift the congregation has recently received from a member of blessed memory, Betty Byers. Betty died in September 2016 after 12 years as an active member of First Parish. Our First Parish Healing and Hospice Choir, the Betty Singers, got its start singing for Betty as she neared the end of her life. Unsolicited, Betty let me know in one of our last conversations that she had remembered First Parish in her estate planning, for which I thanked her but didn't ask for any more details. And then just this summer of 2022, our administrator Susanna Whitman heard from Betty's lawyers that indeed First Parish and a handful of other nonprofits close to Betty's heart would be receiving a disbursement from her estate. Last week we received an astonishing $111,000 from Betty Byers. The parish committee will be voting at their next meeting to invest these funds for the long-term financial health of the congregation. And so I light another candle on our All Souls altar in honor of Betty and all those whose generosity and commitment to our congregation lives on not only in our hearts, but also in legacy gifts that support the ongoing ministries of First Parish.
We will soon ask you to take 3 deep breaths with us, and then read responsively with me and Dara words from Euro-American UU Community Minister Reverend Kathleen McTeague, as printed in your orders of service and at number 721 in the back of your gray hymnals. At the end of that reading, you're invited to please speak or type the name of your loved ones who have died since last All Hallowtide. Here in the building, sometimes we will speak a name at the same time as someone else, but sometimes death is like this too. It can come into many of our lives at the same time, and we must still strive to show compassion for one another, even when we are mourning.
So please take 3 deep breaths with me. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. And a final breath in and out. And now join me in reading the italicized type with Sarah Elizabeth. In the struggles we choose for ourselves, in the ways we move forward in our lives and bringing our world forward with us.
It is right to remember the names of those who gave us strength in this choice of living. It is right to name the power of hard lives well lived.
We share a history with those lives. We belong to the same motion.
They too were strengthened by what had gone before. They too were drawn on by the vision of what might come to be.
Those who lived before us, who struggled for justice and suffered injustices before us, have not melted into the dust and have not disappeared.
They are with us still. The lives they lived hold us steady.
Their words remind us and call us back to ourselves. Their courage and love evoke our own. We, the living, carry them with us. We are their voices, their hands and their hearts.
We take them with us, and with them choose the deeper path of living.
Please now speak or type the names of your loved ones who have died in the past year.
Sue Williams.
Are there more names to be spoken aloud? Thank you for enriching our community with the memories of those who have passed. Let us take a moment of quiet together with the ringing of our singing bowl to hold these loved ones in our hearts. Amen. And now as our children and their teachers follow Sarah Elizabeth and the light of our sanctuary chalice to religious exploration, please join in singing to them Longtime Son as printed in your orders of service.
May the long-time sun shine upon you. All love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on. May the long-time sun shine upon you. All love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on.
This is the time during our worship service when we share the joys and concerns that are very close to our hearts and lives. If you can't be in the sanctuary and would like a candle lit, you can pre-submit your candles to me at internminister@uuneedham.org. Please email these pre-submitted candles to me by midnight on the Thursday before the service, and we will share your pre-submitted candles at the start of this ritual. If you're in the parish hall and have a joy or concern that you'd like to share, you're welcome to quietly offer a stone at the altar and write your joy or concern on a slip of paper. The pastoral care team and the ministers will see these at a later time with your permission. I'd also like to remind us all that our services are being live streamed on YouTube, And because of this, we cannot guarantee that your joys, concerns, and milestones will stay within the First Parish community. So you're always welcome to reach out to Reverend Katie, to me, or your Pastoral Care Associate of the Week. And this week's Pastoral Care Associate is Lynn Jukowski. For pastoral care and to share more privately. We have a pre-submitted candle of concern from our First Parish staff this morning for the people of South Korea as they mourn the nearly 150 deaths of people who were killed at a Halloween celebration. May they find healing and solace in their communal mourning. And I would like to offer another candle for the sorrow of this congregation as we all mourn the many losses that we've sustained over the last 2 months. I lift up prayers of love and gratitude as we blend our tears in shared sorrow. And now if you have a joy or concern that you would like to share, I invite you to come forward now. Please remember to speak directly into the microphone so that those streaming from home can share in our words.
Good morning. My name's Janet Klein. I wanted to share with you, I got an email from Barbara Ridge's daughter, Emily. She had one of her stomach episodes while she was visiting her stepson, Christopher, in North Carolina, and she ended up having emergency surgery last Sunday and is in ICU at Duke Medical Center. Both daughters have been taking turns visiting her down there, and the doctors hope she'll be able to come home at the end later this week. Also, a candle of gratitude. My husband is doing much better after his back surgery on the 13th, although it was major. And we so appreciate getting the meals and the support that we have. So, Caring Crew in action, thank you so much.
I'm Jeff Heller. I didn't know if I could get up here and do this, or if I knew what to say, but I'm here to light a candle for Debbie Heller, my wife. But what I would like to say is I'm all sorry for your loss as well, because anybody who knew Debbie, she will be missed. And, you know, sitting here this morning, I had an epiphany of where the Jewish tradition of Shiva, sitting Shiva, comes from. You know, I feel the support of the community, and I'm lighting, you know, the candle for, you know, the community's loss and the support of the community. And, you know, if sitting Shiva, you know, it's, if you have to stand up each and every time that you need to have that sharing of support, you know, it's a lot of ups and downs and walks. And so I think that's where the tradition comes from, not demanding the person to have to do that. So I would just like to say, can we get it over with and do a group hug? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Connie Dawson. I'm here to express sorrow and a wish for peace to my partner Chris Pooley and his brother JP, who lost their brother Steve this summer to a very difficult and long illness. And I'm grateful that he's at peace, as I know they are. I'm also here in sorrow and also peace for my mother, my brothers, and myself. We lost my father and husband in September. But I'm at peace right now because he had Alzheimer's, which is just the most hideous disease. And he was mercifully taken from us while he was still able to be at home, and he knew his family. And if any of you have experienced Alzheimer's in your life, that is not always the case. And often the loved ones linger on and they don't know anybody, and it's just such a cruelty. And so I'm extremely grateful that for my mother, that Dad still knew her and he still knew us. So I guess there's a little bit of joy in here as well. Thanks.
My name is Beth Sargent. I'm lighting a candle of sorrow and gratitude. Thank you. Of gratitude for the amazing man who has been a part of my life since we were in college. He's the amazing human being who has helped us to raise 3 unique children who are our pride and joy and love. And of sorrow for how quickly he was taken from us and how the tumor he had was just faster than any medical care or healing care he could get. It just outran everything, and the physicians who were supporting him in the end just basically said to us, they've never seen a tumor that has been like this. And these are people who specialize in the type of cancer that he has. It's a very rare cancer. And so I guess I'm telling his story a little bit. But the bigger story of him is joy and music and creativity and outdoors and fun and loving his kids and his grandchildren. And that's what we're holding on to right now. So thank you all for your support.
I'm David Berman, and this is my partner, Nancy Temple, and we're sharing concern for Nancy's aunt, Adele Lerman, who is now near death, and concern for Adele and her 3 children.
Hi, my name's Elise, and I am lighting a candle for candle of concern for my entire family, who is mourning the death of my grandfather, Sarah's great-grandfather, which is a miracle and amazing in itself. He was the most selfless, amazing, patient, loving person, giving that I've ever known. And it was a big loss to his 5 children, multiple grandkids, and Sarah, who is his granddaughter. So thank you.
Hello, I'm Jackie Shepherd, and I'm lighting a candle that's, I'm sure, been lit before, but this is one of my first opportunities. One is for Kay Taylor, who probably most of you know, because she was always greeting people with her smile. I visited her frequently, and one of my last visits was close to the end of her life. And I didn't expect her to be sitting on the couch, chatting on the phone, dressed in red and white, and asking me, of course, about my life. That was Kay. Jeanette Anderson, as well, was a very old friend. Whenever I came to church, Jeanette would be sitting right over there, really early, in one of her beautiful scarves, and I immediately sat next to her and felt welcomed. Jeanette, to me, was a very, very long-time pillar of this church and led many really important, like the book club. Very smart, very good leader. And people have said of the archives, much will be lost. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Sargent Flanagan. I am Beth's daughter and Jim's daughter. And I know we already lit a candle of sorrow, but I really feel the need to light a candle of gratitude because we are so grateful for this community. I grew up in this church. I know lots of you. I see Helen, who taught my Sunday school. Anyways, this church is a very, very special place. And I know that this community is going to be there for my mom. And so deepest gratitude to all of you. Thank you.
And we light a final candle for all the joys and sorrows that lie unspoken on our hearts. As we settle into this time of prayer and meditation, I invite you to slough off the stress and worry that you may have carried in here with you this morning. Here in this sanctuary, it is safe for you to lay down your burdens. This is the time for healing of our aching hearts and our bruised spirits. I invite you to simply breathe. Our prayer this morning begins with Blessing in the Turning, a poem from the artist, author, and Methodist minister Jan Richardson. This poem is part of a series that she wrote as she struggled with the sudden loss of her beloved husband. May you know the slow mystery in which mourning becomes a dance, turning you toward the gladness that wants to meet you in your grief. May comfort come to enfold you, not to take you away, all sorrow, but to infuse it with tenderness, with rest, with every grace it has. May you give yourselves to the rhythms of joy, even when your steps are stumbling, even when you are most fragile and faltering. May you know the dancing that comes in the dying, moving you in time with the heart that has held you always. Even when you could not hear its beating, even when you could not bear its love. Spirit of love and compassion, of loss and of learning how to go on, we offer this poem as prayer during this season of remembrance. On this eve of Halloween, we, like our pagan siblings, celebrate the thinning of the veil between the living and the dead by actively remembering those we've lost. We pray that we may feel the presence of these loved ones today and throughout this season of remembrance. May these shared memories represent by the photos left on our altar and keep them alive in our hearts. May we know the mystery that transforms our mourning into a dance between sorrow and deep gratitude for their presence in our lives. Amen. We will now be held in several moments of silence. Amen. Please join in singing our meditative response, There is a Love.
There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love. We rest in this love.
This week, when our wonderful Bell Notes volunteers, Leslie and Laurel, sent out the sad news from First Parish emails about Jim Sargent and Debbie Heller, I noticed that they changed the usual subject line. First, more sad news, and then yet more sad news. An attempt to highlight to our community that they hadn't accidentally sent out the messages about Jeff Austrian's or Kay Taylor's deaths again. My ministerial colleagues at the Unitarian Universalist Trauma Response Ministry reminded me of the power of metaphor and story in processing and integrating traumatic events, critical incidents, and other troubling times. We might start the story of First Parish in October of 2022 with Once Upon a Time. We had just begun to see more of each other in the meeting house and on our front lawn, and still on Zoom. Our youngest children were finally vaccinated and bivalent boosters had just become available. We felt like things were getting better. And then the fabric of our community started tearing. Our hearts broke with the loss of Jeanette and Nancy, and then cruelly, one after the other, new absences, new holes formed: Jeff, Kay, Jim, and Debbie. Loss is like a hole in the fabric of our lives, and grief is what we experience when we fall into that hole, which happens frequently in the beginning and for many weeks and months until we know where the hole is in the landscape of our lives and don't fall in it so much. And death upon death compounds grief, can overwhelm us. It may feel at times like so many are missing from the fabric of our community that we will unravel. And amidst this chaos, we may find ourselves grasping for some pattern, wondering who will be next. Death must be catching at First Parish. It isn't. Grief comes as a twisting roller coaster. Sometimes we feel fine, even happy, and then we sink again into our mourning. This is natural. This is our bodies, minds, souls protecting us from crashing into grief too much for too long. Especially in times of mourning, we must find time to process and to cry, and time to disconnect and give our hearts a break. Healing does not arrive in a sequential, linear fashion, but it rises and falls, it twists and turns. We do best when we strap ourselves firmly into our seats and take the journey with as much grace for ourselves and for our neighbors as we can muster. Grief comes as a fog over our minds. When deep in grief, we may find ourselves forgetful, inattentive, even quick to tears and to anger. Because our bodies keep the score, in the whole next year we may find ourselves strangely agitated or sensitive or anxious or tense, and then it will dawn upon us. This day is my first holiday without my loved one. This week is my loved one's birthday. This month, when the leaves are changing, that's when so many of my loved ones died. This is all completely normal. Grief is digested by different people in different ways. Each of us will have our own ways of completing the stress cycle. Maybe in this time of mourning, you suddenly want to get your affairs in order, or deep clean your whole home, or take on extra shifts at work. Maybe you find yourself out on walks or at the gym or at your crafting table or at your instrument much more frequently than usual. Maybe you're planning to stock up on half-price Halloween candy, and you're holding your loved ones extra tightly. Or maybe you'll find yourself sleeping more. Remember, don't assume someone is not grieving because they're not grieving the way you are. And don't assume that someone isn't strong because they're not grieving the way you are. Please do reach out for support from your ministers, the pastoral care team, and therapeutic networks, especially if you experience growing depression or loneliness, addictive behaviors or unusual impulsiveness, or severe helplessness or hypervigilance. You're not alone. Grief is a hard journey that must be traveled. We can partner with grief, or we can pretend grief isn't there, which will nearly guarantee that grief will be driving the wheel of our lives without our permission or input. The journey of grief is made a lighter burden when we are together, for sorrow shared is halved. Religious rituals like our remembrance, altar building, and spreading ashes in the memorial garden and celebrating our loved ones of blessed memory in memorial services, these are all ways to consciously partner with grief and progress on the journey. By gathering in love today, we're already taking good care to encourage and comfort one another. Here at First Parish, we are in this time of mourning together. Please remember to breathe. And remember, there is a love holding all that we love. May we rest in this love. Amen. This congregation has been supported by the volunteered time and treasure of its members and friends since its founding in 1711. And this is the time in our service when we, the modern stewards of the church, offer what we can to build and sustain the congregation and the world we envision. This month, our collections will be split 50-50 with the Metro West Worker Center. The Metro West Worker Center is immigrant worker-led and organizes to defend and expand the labor, civil, and human rights of all workers in Greater Boston. To donate to our collection, you can use one of 3 different methods as described in detail in your orders of service. Whatever way you give, please be sure to specify whether your gift is for today's collection or for your 2023 pledge. And many thanks to Ann Brain for our beautiful flowers in memory of her sister Judy, and to Chris Pooley, who left us these beautiful altar flowers from his brother Steve's service yesterday. May the ushers now please come forward.
What's this? What's this? There's color everywhere. What's this? There's white things in the air. What's this? I can't believe my eyes. I must be dreaming. Wake up, check. This isn't fair. What's this? What's this? What's this? There's something very wrong. What's this? There's people singing songs. What's this? The streets are lined with little creatures laughing. Everybody seems so happy. Have I possibly gone daffy? What's this? What's this? There's children throwing snowballs instead of throwing heads. They're busy building toys and absolutely no one's dead. There's frost on every window. Oh, I can't believe my eyes. And in my bones I feel the warmth that's coming from inside. Oh, look, what's this? They're hanging mistletoe, they'll kiss. Why, that looks so unique, inspired. They're gathering around to hear a story, roasting chestnuts on a fire. What's this? What's this? In here, they've got a little tree. How queer, and who would ever think, and why? They're covering it with tiny little things. They've got electric lights on strings, and there's a smile on everyone. So now, correct me if I'm wrong. This looks like fun, this looks like fun. Oh, could it be? I got my wish. What's this? Oh my, what now? The children are asleep, but look, there's nothing underneath. No ghouls, no witches here to scream and scare them or ensnare them. Only little cozy things secure inside their dreamland. What's this? The monsters are all missing and the nightmares can't be found. And in their place there seems to be good feeling all around. Instead of screams, I swear I can hear music in the air. The smell of cakes and pies are absolutely everywhere. The sights, the sounds, they're everywhere and all around. I've never felt so good before. This empty place inside of me is filling up. I simply cannot get enough. I want it, oh I want it, oh I want it for my own. I've got to know what is this place that I have found? What is this?
We're now moving into the half of this Sunday service that we had anticipated we would be doing. A bit of a tone change here at the Offertory and the homily, and I do know that it's already past 11:30. Not really sure what we're going to do about that. We'll see. We'll give it some thought. The Nightmare Before Christmas is a musical stop-motion animation film released in 1993. And it's up for debate whether it's a Halloween film or a Christmas film. The protagonist, Jack Skellington, is in fact a skeleton and has grown bored with all the usual Halloween traditions, though he and his fellow residents of Halloween Town, where he is hailed as the Pumpkin King, they are very skilled at being very spooky. In his song, What's This?, doesn't Jack Skellington capture some of the magic of Christmas when he stumbles out of his native Halloween town into the deep forest where he finds a magical door into Christmas Town? What's this? What's this? There's color everywhere. There's white things in the air. In here, they've got a little tree. How queer. They're covering it with tiny little things. They've got electric lights on strings. I could hear the music in the air. The smell of cakes and pies is absolutely everywhere. I've never felt so good before. This empty space inside of me is filling up. I simply cannot get enough. And then, gazing upon Christmas Town, Jack the Pumpkin King says, I want it for my own. In between the songs that Laura and Harold are offering to us today, What's This and Poor Jack, there are two other songs that represent turning points in this narrative. In Jack's obsession, he struggles to understand how Christmas works and what makes it so appealing, and in frustration, he concludes, you know, I think this Christmas thing is not as tricky as it seems, and why should they have all the fun? It should belong to anyone, not anyone, in fact, but me. Why, I could make a Christmas tree. And there's no reason I can find I couldn't handle Christmas time. I bet I could improve it too, and that's exactly what I'll do. So Jack, succeeding where the Grinch failed, kidnaps Santa Claus and steals Christmas. All of Halloween Town sets onto the task of making Christmas and the song of that name, and Halloween Town making Christmas goes about as well as you would expect. The reindeer are skeletons led by Jack's glowing ghost dog, Zero. The rubber duckies are dripping with painted blood and have mouths full of shark teeth, and the winter hats are made of dead bats and rats. Sally, a Frankenstein-esque rag doll, tries to warn Jack that she's had a premonition that a Halloween Town Christmas is going to go quite badly. But Jack doesn't listen. Off he rides into the night on Christmas Eve, terrifying all human beings who encounter the Pumpkin King and his town's gifts. Finally, in the song Poor Jack, he realizes his grave mistake. What have I done? What have I done? Spoiled all, everything's gone all wrong. Santa Claus is eventually released from captivity and saves Christmas, but it's a very close call. Modern Euro-American fashion lawyer and legal scholar Susan Scafidi said in an interview that cultural misappropriation is taking intellectual property, traditional knowledge, cultural expressions, or artifacts from someone else's culture without permission. It's most likely to be harmful when the source community is a minority group that has been oppressed or exploited in other ways, and when the object of appropriation is especially sensitive, as in a sacred object. While we certainly can't make the argument that Santa Claus and Christmas are oppressed and exploited, except, of course, by capitalism, you may be understanding now why I've been thinking about the Nightmare Before Christmas this Halloween during our Beloved Community Month. In a beloved community, diversity is celebrated and actively maintained, not boiled down to the community's most common denominator in some sort of melting pot of cultural assimilation. Cultural misappropriation can cause deep and abiding harm, fracturing communities and deepening generational mistrust. Cultural traditions can be shared by those with ancestry and authentic connection to those unique practices. Those who do not have authentic connection or ancestry with those cultural traditions can offer gratitude and appreciation but should not borrow those traditions without building relationship, gaining knowledge, and asking humbly for explicit permission. With Jack Skellington, it's so obvious where he went wrong. I know that in our modern, diverse nation and globally interconnected world, it's much more complicated than just not kidnapping Santa Claus. At Halloween, we witness this complexity. We know not to dress in a stereotypical costume of another race or culture, but what if our white child wants to be Moana or Miles Morales for Halloween? Dia de los Muertos altars are so beautiful, but if you're not of Mexican heritage, is it okay to buy art or flowers inspired by that celebration? Yet the Nightmare Before Christmas can offer us some insight even in our more complex multicultural world. In an article about the film and cultural misappropriation, queer Euro-American writer and illustrator Katie Schenkel wrote, "The message of the movie isn't that you should avoid learning about cultures outside your own. No, the lesson is to see how Jack went about it the wrong way and realize how he could have done it better. If you're going to learn about other people's cultures and traditions, approach it from a place of respect. Go to the people who live that life and treat them as the experts. Listen to others when they say you're stepping over your bounds. Show humility, ask questions in a respectful way. Don't try to improve cultural elements just because that's easier than understanding it fully. And above all, practice empathy." Part of our mission as an Eighth Principle congregation is actively and accountably dismantling racism and other oppressions and building a diverse multicultural congregation. It is challenging to know the line between appreciation and appropriation, and it is worth practicing in pursuit of beloved community. Let us pray together these words from queer Euro-American UU minister, Reverend Heather Ryan Starr. Spirit of love, spirit of compassion, spirit of justice, fill us with resolve. Let us not shy away from the hard conversations and the determination to do better. Help us to know that as imperfect and insufficient as our efforts are, they are drops of water in a moving stream in which we must swim, startled and determined by the rush of energy around and within us, carrying us forward. Blessed be, and amen.
What have I done? What have I done? How could I be so blind? All is lost. Where was I? Spoiled all. Spoiled all. Everything's gone all wrong. What have I done? What have I done? Find a deep cave to hide in. In a million years they'll find me only dust and a plaque that reads, "Here lies poor old Jack." But I never intended all this madness, never. And nobody really understood. Well, how could they? That all I ever wanted was to bring them something great. Why does nothing ever turn out like it should? Well, what the heck, I went and did my best, and by God, I really tasted something swell. For a moment, why, I even touched the sky, and at least I have some stories they can tell. I did, and for the first time since I don't remember when, I'd felt just like my old pony self again. And I, Jack
As we approach the close of our service this morning, I have a number of announcements, so please bear with me. The first is a very gentle reminder to please not forget your photos of your loved ones at the end of the service. Please bring them home with you. And then, as always, we invite you to join us for fellowship after the service. If you're here in the sanctuary, we'll be meeting outside on the front lawn. And if you're on Zoom or on live streaming, please join us for a Zoom fellowship time. At 12:15 today, we will be rededicating our memorial garden. Reverend Katie, the garden crew, and Betty's singers will be leading us in a meaningful rededication of this beautiful outdoor space. Are you worried about the midterm elections? Well, a lot of your fellow congregants are as well. And we will be holding a listening session next Sunday at 2 p.m. And then again on the Thursday after the election, we'll be holding a Zoom space for us to share any feelings or concerns about that election. On Saturday, November 5th at 2 p.m., there will be a memorial celebration for Jeanette Anderson, led by Reverend Katie. The service will be live streamed from our sanctuary. And we have a number of opportunities for processing our grief in the coming week. One that I really need to tell you about is the Braver Wiser workshop that's offered by the UU Braver Wiser group. And that deadline for registration is today. So go to braverwiser.org and see and register if you're interested in joining them on November 1st at 6:30. For the other opportunities, Reverend Katie will be sending us an email tomorrow with details about an opportunity on Wednesday and next Saturday. And the last announcement is that we're going to be creating an altar to make space for our continued grieving for the losses we've sustained, and the altar will be set up near the Lincoln Street vestibule. It's a place for people to bring their sorrows and gratitudes for the lives of those we've lost. And now, as always, we extinguish our chalice here with the words promising to carry its flame in our hearts until we are together again, no matter how long it is until we're together again. Please join me from home or here in the building in saying these words written by Unitarian Universalist minister, the Reverend Elizabeth Selly Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, nor the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Now, because we've gone so egregiously over time, Reverend Katie and I have decided that we're going to sing the chorus, the second verse, and the chorus. So we're abbreviating the final hymn a little bit. And it is number 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. It's in your orders of service or in the teal hymnals.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy
As we close our service today, take these words from retired Euro-American UU minister, Reverend Barbara Pescan, with you as a benediction. Because of those who came before, we are. In spite of their failings, we believe. Because of and in spite of the horizons of their vision, we too dream. Let us go now remembering to praise, to live in the moment, to love mightily, and to bow to the mystery. Our service begins when our service ends. Blessed be, and amen.